faith, adventure, stories untold. First responder hearts brave and bold. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the stories grow, faith, fire, and games in the world we know. Adventure calls, the table is set, let's take the leap, our best quest yet. From the first light to the game's last stand, we're chasing truth with controller in hand. Faith, adventure, stories untold. First responder hearts brave and bold. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the stories grow, faith, fire, and games in the world we know. Adventure calls, the table is set, let's take the leap, our best quest yet. From the first light to the game's last stand, we're chasing truth with controller in hand. Faith, adventure, stories untold. First responder hearts brave and bold. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the stories grow, faith, fire, and games in the world we know. Adventure calls, the table is set, let's take the leap, our best quest yet. From the first light to the game's last stand, we're chasing truth with controller in hand. Faith, adventure, stories untold. First responder hearts brave and bold. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the stories grow, faith, fire, and games in the world we know. Adventure calls, the table is set, let's take the leap, our best quest yet. From the first light to the game's last stand, we're chasing truth with controller in hand. Faith, adventure, stories untold. First responder hearts brave and bold. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet, from the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slingshot's crew, come join the ride, with McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first of hopefully many episodes of Beyond the Quest, Slim Chance Gaming's new podcast. What's up, Vet? Oh, he's very excited for this. I've got my coffee. I got Taco.
Howdy.
I've got Napkins.
Okay.
And Napkins is going to kick us off. I told you I'd wing it.
Appreciate that, bro.
Out the gate. Wow.
Right. I appreciate that.
This is the podcast where we talk about anything and everything. Anybody that has certain topics they want discussed, just let us know.
Indeed.
Yeah, we're going to figure out a way for people who might listen to the recordings to reach out to us with topics if they want. If topics are really interesting, we may even figure out a way to include them in an episode.
I did try and get Schizo and Cal to join in, but I don't think the morning thing is for them.
To be fair, I'm not a morning person either, but here I am.
Me either, but this coffee
same.
helps.
But I work night shifts, so I'm just now getting off work.
I just like coffee.
Coffee is life.
Anybody have an idea for a first topic? Because if not, I will throw one out.
Go ahead and throw one.
Because we are a gaming channel. Anyway, has anybody else watched Arcane?
I've watched the first season, not the second yet.
Napkins, have you watched any of Arcane, or do you even know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The League show, Arcane.
Yeah, it's a Netflix series.
It's what the whole new map on League
of
is.
Legends.
Oh, no, I have not watched that, but I
And
will.
it would
You
be right up
should.
your alley. It focuses on Jinx.
With the new map that they released to replace ARAM, the Bridge of Progress, I hated that map. Absolutely hated it. I went through and watched the show, and I don't know if it's because the map makes more sense to me now, but I kind of like it. And the show is very captivating. Like, I've rewatched all the episodes they have out right now probably 3 times. And probably will again.
I'm definitely going to have to watch this, but I need to get Netflix first.
The only awkward moments during it, really, and not to like throw spoilers out or anything, because they do introduce different champions in throughout the episodes. I did not know of a backstory that Vi and Kate were lovers. So.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a new one to me.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Gotta get that inclusivity check mark.
They had to throw it out there, and the way they're playing the story though, it's not like one of those things I really want shoved in my face, But I wouldn't like it. It wasn't like I minded it, It wasn't that bad. It was actually a pretty good twist to it that I didn't see coming. The show's got a lot of cliffhangers they'll leave you on, but a lot of whoa crap moments. Like I didn't see that coming. So I did enjoy that.
So real quick, I'm going to plug this in here because I didn't really think of it until Taco mentioned it. Anybody that wants to reach out to the show and give suggestions or just want to reach out and call us a-holes, email bto@slimchancegaming.com. That's BTO as in Beyond the Quest @slimchancegaming.com.
I'm glad you specified what BTO meant. I was trying to figure it out. I'm a ding dong. So, with that being said, and bringing up the Arcane show and stuff, the main topic I wanted to try and dive into first was so when you play a game, when you're playing a game, do you just think of it as like I'm playing the game, like I've got my keyboard and mouse right here and I'm just playing a game to win, kind of like Halo or something, or do you see it differently, like where you're trying to like role play it, where I'm this character, I'm in this game getting shot, I'm screaming, I'm yelling,
So for me personally, it depends on the specific game. So if I'm playing something like League or something along those lines, I feel like it's more of I'm just a character in this game. But if I'm playing something like not to out myself here, but if I'm playing something like my simulation games, I'm more inversed. Like I am this character.
You are the semi truck.
I am the police officer in Police Sim, and I say that because I'm really digging that game right now.
Taco.
I kind of hit a middle ground on all games. I can invest a little bit to where I get into it, like in League. If I'm getting attacked, I'm screaming, "Ow, quit! Stop! That hurts!" But I'm not to the point where I'm like, "I am Malphite. You can't beat me. I'm a rock." I'm not like that.
Okay, so I kind of agree with you all on it. Like the way I used to play games, like if I was playing Halo, Call of Duty, League, any of the games like that are very competitive, and especially with a main like online multiplayer of climbing, so to say, like in ranked and things. Like my whole goal was I'm gonna be good at this game because I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. Playing games like Ark and things, I found myself trying to role play it more. Like I was more immersed in it. Of I'm on this island catching me a dino, um, and I found like I was actually enjoying the games more when I would play them in that style. And so I started this new thing of when I'm playing League, I try to get into that mindset a little bit more, and I found that I don't tilt near as much as I did before.
Yeah, it makes it more fun.
So next time we all play League, I expect you to become one with the character.
I don't know, man. It's awful hard not to tilt with with the new ARAM map. I'm not
Well,
even
I'm
gonna
telling
lie.
you, you got to watch the show, and then you'll be like, "Oh, they actually did a pretty good job." The only thing that still tilts me is the daggone announcer.
You're
Oh my
right.
gosh!
I wish
Especially
we
on
could
the
one to
Zon
v
side.
one the announcer.
On the Zon side, the dude needs like throat punched.
I'd still maintain I'm almost convinced that it's the same voice actor who was uh, Yakko in the Animaniacs, though.
Well,
Okay,
in
so
the
I'm gonna throw you a curveball. I'm almost wondering if they did not use who is their new what they call their president of League of Legends, Lil Nas X. I'm
oh,
almost convinced that he is the announcer voice.
he may
Uh,
be. I have no idea. As far as the show goes, they do use one kind of popular voice that I did recognize pretty quick. He plays in Lucifer as the cop, ex-husband
I'm
Kevin.
sorry if
Daniel!
you hear. I'm
Uh,
sorry if you hear diarrhea squirting sounds. I'm making another cup of coffee with the Keurig.
and you would explain it with diarrhea squirting sounds. But
That's
yeah,
exactly what a Keurig sounds like.
Kevin Alejandro or whatever his name is, Dan from Lucifer. He's
I didn't
actually
know he was in it.
he's Jace. He is Jace in
Ah,
the show.
I know
I heard the
Haley
voice
Steinfeld
when I
is
started the
Caitlin.
show, and I was like, I know this voice. I know this
So
voice.
is this show only on Netflix?
Yes. They have the first season on there, and they just started this, or
They've got
first
the
and
first
second
three.
season, and they just started the third season, but they split it up in so
No,
many episodes. So
it's season
it's
2.
3 episodes, and then they just now released the next 3 episodes, and then I think it's on the 23rd. They've got 3 more episodes coming.
So what I'm hearing is we need to try our best to get a Netflix sponsorship, so I don't have to pay that fee.
well, well, the bad part is, so I think what is today, the 18th? Yeah, I think my Netflix went away today. The wife had
Oh,
called and canceled it, and then they released the show. Said the new season was airing, and I was like, oh, I've got to watch it. So I pull it up, and I find out they only release so many episodes at a time, which I hate how they do that. but I kind of get why they're doing it because they didn't want spoilers to come out. But yeah, by the
Okay,
time
so
the next three open, I won't have the flicks.
okay, so what I'm hearing is we need to plan a night of everybody getting together here to watch it.
I don't care.
So
So quick correction from me. Haley Steinfeld is Vi in it, not Caitlin.
Hmm.
so I'm gonna
Haley
transition
Steinfeld
this a little bit.
is from Bumblebee.
Transition away, sir.
I'm gonna transition this a little bit. So you guys were just talking about, well, specifically Medic. You were just talking about um, how you play the games. But my question is, for you guys, what is gaming to you? Do you use it as a hobby? Is it just a fun pastime? Um, how do you view gaming?
To me, is a good distraction and escape.
Yeah, it can be multiple things for me. It could be a way of unwinding after a long shift. It can be a way of just passing time. It could even just be for pure enjoyment if the story's good enough.
To me,
My
it's
thing,
almost a therapy,
well,
if
kind
that
of.
makes sense.
That's kind of like where I was going with it. Like my thing is, um, I get in my head a lot and very often, and that's a scary place for me because there's a lot of things that I don't like that go on in my head that I can't change. So when I go to gaming, especially lately with like actually diving into it and like role playing it and feeling it and being in the game, it's like I forget everything. Like I just transition to a whole different space. That's where I leave myself back, and then I just get to become McMedic for a while. You know what I mean? Like I get to forget any problems that I got going on, any troubles, anything happening whatsoever.
Not to sound cliche, but I feel like that for a lot of gamers, that's the reality. Um, I feel like for a lot of people that are actually get into the games and actually not just hobbyist players that want to learn the new tricks to get kills on Call of Duty. I'm talking about the ones that actually get into the games and actually
Right.
play these games avidly and want to progress skill as well as story instead of just learning tricks to beat the game or to look good on the game. And I feel like this is the cliche part that I was talking about. I feel like that a lot of specifically spouses, women, things like that that aren't so much into gaming, that's where a lot of the stigma comes in because to them it's just a waste of time. But to a
Right.
lot of people,
Well,
it's what keeps them from going mad.
well, I also saw. You know, you mentioned it. I mean, I was just scrolling through Facebook this morning, and there was a meme on there, and this woman had posted it, and it was a picture of her husband playing Call of Duty on the Xbox, and she was talking about how, uh, a lot of people stay so mad at their spouses or boyfriends or whatever for wanting to play games all the time, but she's thankful for it because to her, when she sees it, that's her being able to see her boyfriend or spouse in a safe place and feeling where he can feel relaxed at his own home. That instead of having to take off to, a friend's house to be able to feel like he can go there and play games, he feels comfortable enough that he can sit and play games with her and talk with her the whole time he's playing with the guys, and because he actually feels comfortable in his own house. And a lot of the times some people just don't because of all the constant nagging and arguing that comes with it. This is getting deep quick. You're right, Vet.
I mean, I agree with that 100%. I talking about social media, I seen a post actually just recently that was being shared like crazy. That was like one of my biggest red flags is if he's a gamer. If he's a gamer, he's going to be left on red.
Hurtful.
I
Right?
We
mean,
skip those
if
quests.
that's their if that's their mentality, I don't want nothing to do with them anyway.
Toggle throw them
I,
to the side.
I mean, I'm a nerd to begin with, so if gaming's a problem for you, you're not gonna like anything else about me. So,
Well, my thing is like I always viewed games of more of like just a pastime or a hobby thing. All the way up until, I mean, just most recently within the last probably 3-4 years or so is when I really started finding gaming as my outlet. And even, dabbling from going from playing PGA, Tiger Woods to Halo shooter games, and then even getting to try D&D for a while, which is a totally different ball game from playing a actual video game or playing like Monopoly, like a board game. Even that is, I found it as, it's a good relief and good therapy of just being able to set everything else off to the side and get out of your own head. You know what I mean?
Right.
Since you brought up D&D, let's transition the topic a little bit more here. We all three grew up with the huge stigmatism around D&D that a lot of people don't realize still exists, a satanic panic around it.
It's
Calling it,
witchcraft.
calling it witchcraft or the devil's game and stuff.
How dare you watch Harry Potter?
I'm telling
So
you.
now that I was able to introduce you to D&D, how do you feel about it? Do you think there's any kind of justification to that, or do you think that it's a lot of ignorance around the game?
Well,
I want to chime in after he's done.
my thing is, if you're gonna call D&D anything of satanic or witchcraft or anything like that, you would have to call almost any MMO or dungeon hack and slash fighting games things the same exact thing. Because when you're playing almost any MMO that I've played so far, of going from Guild Wars to WoW to Dragon Age Inquisition, Baldur's Gate, any of them. I mean, you're essentially playing a D&D in the virtual world itself. I mean, you still have all these different races and classes, and they are all based off different gods and different powers. Anytime you bring up a thing of magic whatsoever, you would have to give it the same label. And I think everybody's big thing about Dungeons and Dragons saying it's witchcraft and it's all this nonsense is a lack of wisdom and knowledge in itself.
It's just ignorance.
Because that's like even saying we played and streamed Demonologist.
Right.
There's a lot of people that would see those videos or view those and say, well, I mean, this guy's a Christian and he's playing a demonologist game where there's Ouija boards and all this stuff. He shouldn't be doing that and whatnot. But at the same time, to me, there is a line that I can say, I know that I'm playing a video game. It is a video game. And
right, it's not like we're sitting in your bedroom with candles. But at the same time,
I can still role play and dive into that game and get into that. I like Demonologist. I love playing that game. I love the jump scares. I love the twist that it brings to the game. And because the whole time I'm playing it, I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat and I will scream like a girl and try not to pee my pants. But I enjoy playing the game. And it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find this demon and play with it. No. I'm playing a video game and I know what the point of the game is, what you're supposed to do. It's the point of a game anyways, figure out how to beat the game.
Right. Napkins, what was your point you wanted to bring up there?
So, I don't necessarily think it's witchcraft, so to speak, but I think it can be a problem just like any other game. And the best example Medic actually mentioned was WoW. And I mean, I know people that have gotten so invested in WoW that it's literally cost them relationships. It's literally cost them marriages. It's literally cost them their kids because they lived, breathed WoW. From the moment they got up to the moment they went to bed, it was WoW. And I feel like if you do that with something like D&D, to where you literally warp your mind into thinking that you are a literal witch or warlock or whatever, that you warp your mind into thinking that is your reality, that's where you can start to quote unquote become possessive, and it starts to become a problem in the spiritual realm as far as your faith and stuff goes, because you're almost double minded at that point. Um,
Well, I
and
think
I,
a
Right.
lot of
like I
that
said,
would
I
fall
don't think
back
it's
on to of knowing this is a game.
right.
Right.
Like that's
And
the lack
that
of knowledge and wisdom that I'm talking about.
and at that point too, you've obviously got some other deep-seated issues you need to work on anyway if you can
True.
warp your reality that much. But
Well, I mean, there are a lot of people that do it. I mean, and I do know a lot of people that that got saved and immediately started trashing all their D&D stuff, all of their World of Warcraft stuff, because to them that was something that had a hold on them that they didn't know how to deal with. But I think a lot of that comes too from being able to have a strong mind in itself, let alone in your walk in your faith.
Dude, I know people that's saved right now that refuse to watch a scary movie.
Oh, I do too. I do too.
right. But what I'm getting at is having played D&D now, you could see how it could actually be a useful thing, especially if used correctly and in moderation to help like introverts or people who are struggling with thinking outside of the box. Like if you got
I think
kids
if you're
into
going to
it,
take introverted people into it, it would benefit them more to play a game like D&D than it would to play a game like WoW.
yeah, because they're
Because they couldn't
actively
hide.
having to interact with others.
Right, they can't hide behind the screen from it. Now, when you take introverted people that are playing games like WoW and things on the computer, to me, those people never actually face what they need to face to be able to develop
Yeah, they never
more
grow
that they
any.
need to. Those are the people that live it, that live WoW, and that
So
honestly kind of I worry about.
Right.
I'm gonna transition this even a little further, and
Daggone, we was knee deep. We going to the waist.
the only thing I'm gonna say, my argument to people that would be, again, that would say something like that this is witchcraft or that Christians shouldn't do this. My argument to them would be, how are you gonna reach the sinner? You know what I'm saying? Like if you have these introverted people that more than likely haven't stepped foot in a church a day in their life because they're so introvert, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people like that, and you get together an entire party of D&D players and all of them's Christian, that's a huge light that they can shine to these people.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, not
and
only that, but you have. I mean, there's probably some people that would watch our YouTube videos or streams, and they may complain or say something because we play games with people that aren't saved. I mean, there's
true.
things said on our streams and stuff that probably not the best. There's probably perverted lines that are thrown out. There's probably uncalled for language and screaming and stuff that we do a lot. But my thing is, if he can sit and eat with the sinners, why can't I game with them?
I mean, yeah,
The caveat on that is if Cal ever does join us for a podcast, it will be an explicit episode.
I mean,
uh,
it's no different than what the Bible says about, he came for the sinners. He's not here for those who are already saved. He's here for those who don't know him. And Paul even wrote himself about how, you have to be willing to adopt the customs of the people you're trying to talk to. And if you're shutting them out because you disagree with the fact that, they cuss or they drink or whatever, well, you're actively pushing them down the road to hell.
Vet says we in the water now, boys. Well, I'm gonna put
Well, that's
it
where
this
we
way.
want you to be. We
This
can
is
baptize you
a
then.
it's a unpopular view that I've had on kind of a lot of it for a while, and I've had some arguments with people about it. Is and it always throws me back to the one time I ever saw Papa stand up and talk in church. And the only thing he ever said that I can remember is he stood up and he quoted a verse in Luke, I believe it is, about he said to pick up your cross and follow him daily. And Papa's thing about it was we stay so confounded in the four walls. But he said to pick up the cross and follow him daily. The thing is, the way I view stuff is when you only want to surround yourself with only Christian people completely, you're not being a light to anybody. You're surrounding light with light, no darkness. Yeah. And he constantly was with the sinners and everything. Jesus was, and we can't even get on have a game night or anything, and somebody that's not saved be there. To me, that is absolutely ridiculous. That is the opposite of what anybody should be doing that proclaims that they're about their faith. You know what I mean?
Right, and it's like I said, if you're living the way that you feel led to live as a Christian, you don't have to browbeat people with the Bible and the Word of God. They see that difference. Mm-hmm. And that does more good than you telling them, hey, you need to read the Bible. Don't you know Jesus died for your sins? You're just going to turn them away at that point because they're like, oh, here's another one. I think a lot
of it comes back to, one, stepping out of a comfort zone tied into being, I don't want to say scared, but it's more of just being afraid of being away from the comfort place of feeling like you're surrounded by, everyone's Christians and everything. Of, well, maybe if I hear that, I'll have the urge to say it, type deal. You know what I mean? Because to me is when I truly rededicated and gave everything over to God, I lost the urge to say a lot of stuff that I used to, So to me is, he took that from me, and I'm thankful for it, because if I hear it, it's not like, oh no, I have that itch, I need to say something. I used to be the worst for it. Every sentence that came out of my mouth was dropping F-bombs and everything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that desire or urge now, and it doesn't bother me necessarily when I hear it. It's not like it makes me mad or anything.
No, it's just a word. It's like, okay. I mean, personally, I don't feel the need to use it, but use it if you feel it. I don't care.
What I mean? You know what I'm trying to say, though? I think everybody they get so
it's
complacent.
More of a fear that
they get so complacent in being in a comfort area, like they're afraid of going away from it. Like, if I do go out and be around, people that aren't saved and stuff, I think that's one thing that it also gives Christians the stereotypical thing of everybody always saying that they act like they're better than others and that they're stuck up. And I think that's the problem, is because they won't get out of their comfort zone, which is entirely what you're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Yeah, and what people need to keep in mind when they do watch us stream and play games and everything is, we're a bunch of guys who get along, who feel like we're family. Of course, we're going to make jokes that to outsiders are going to seem inappropriate or uncomfortable because we're that close.
Well,
we don't care.
Not only is everybody in our group my brother, but EMS is jacked up. There is a sick, dark sense of humor there. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of people at our church that would not understand my sense of humor.
Oh,
there's a lot of people at our church that would probably shun us if they watched our videos.
There's a lot of people in our family that would probably be very concerned about us if they heard some of our sense of humor. But to me, that's also something that makes me who I am. Being in EMS and being around that. Before I ever got in EMS, I was so set back, awkward, and shy. Like, I would never stream. I would never get on a camera. You could not paid me enough to do it. And then after going through EMS, and I don't know if it's so much of dealing with aggravating stuff like frequent flyers and everything that finally just broke me, and I changed. But to now I don't care. You know, if I want to stream, I'm gonna stream.
Oh, I get told all the time by everybody at work that, in the last 3 years, they've seen this giant change in me and the way I act with everybody. And I said, yeah, I divorced her. Like, that made a huge difference for me. And what really cracks, like, the paramedic I normally work with up the most is, for the most part on calls, I rarely say anything. It's just, all right, whatever. What do you need? Okay, I'll get the bed, type of thing. Every now and then we get the one call where it's such a waste of time and it's so stupid that I
They
can't
probably
hold my
called every
tongue.
week. Probably the second time that week.
And I make a comment like, really? You wasted our time because they have the sniffles? And he loses it every time. Like, completely loses composure. He's cracking up. They get more offended because he's laughing. And he thinks it's the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
You know, that's one thing that always killed me about training in any first responder category, whether it be the contact center, the road, EMS, fire, police, it doesn't matter. Every one of them tell you the same thing. You have to remember that this is the worst day of their lives. No, it's not.
Yeah,
They
the
call every
majority of them
day.
The
Right.
majority of them are calling because they've got it in their mind, well, if I go by ambulance, I'll get seen real quick and I'll be back home in an hour. That's not reality, though.
Well, that's the
I can
TV
thing.
tell
has
you how
fooled
many
them.
times.
That's the
I
thing
can tell you how.
that ruins it. That's the whole problem with like EMS
That's
in
what creates
general
burnout.
is they can't keep anybody working because you can't fix the system the way it is.
Nope.
I couldn't tell you how many times that somebody would call 911 and the very first words out of their mouth is, "This isn't an emergency, but then why are you calling 911?"
Right. See, I think Tennessee's on the right track with it now because they have actually given power to 911 dispatchers to, one, talk to the person and semi triage it, to where if it's not a real emergency, they tell them, well, I'm sorry, that's not a true emergency. How about you go to urgent care? And if the person still insists, there's now the authority given to first responders when they arrive and do their assessment to say, okay, you don't need an ER, and they take them to an urgent care center and drop them.
I have to
That's
say,
a
man,
good step in the right direction.
that's one shout out I have to give to New Jersey whenever I went on FEMA deployment there. Shout out to New Jersey because all of their 911 dispatchers were licensed EMTs. So every medical call they took, they triaged over the phone, and if it wasn't needed for an ambulance, they didn't send one.
Wow.
And
Now
their
see that
ambulances did not have paramedics. The paramedics drove chase vehicles.
yeah. They wanted to start that around here, but it's hard to do.
Yeah, around here is not, it's not
Ideal.
feasible.
You need like a
It's
city.
just too royal. Yeah.
My thing is
That
like I
was
think it was North Carolina. See, now this is where like a lot of people wouldn't understand unless you're in EMS or you relate to the sense of humor that I think they were really starting to get on board was like overdoses. If you were going to that same person for like their third overdose, you didn't Narcan and you did not try and resuscitate nothing. It was they done made her choice. Did you have to
Yeah.
go out there two times before that for this same ding dong that overdosed, and you have to go pick them up, take them to the hospital so they can get cleaned up and go right back and do it again? Yeah, you did, but that third time you don't do nothing. If they survive, they survive. If not, if not.
okay. So
Oh,
that gets me into
I completely agree with that. I'm just saying.
this may shoot us up, this may shoot us down on viewers, but very controversial topic. As EMS professionals, do you
Mm-hmm.
guys believe that addiction is a disease?
No.
Do I believe it's a disease? No. Do I think that addiction can be hard to lay down? Yeah. But did you make that mindful choice when you started something? Yeah. Do you know what you're doing when you shoot it up, snort it? Yeah.
I mean, if you want to be literal about it, anything can be an addiction.
Right.
Anything from caffeine to nicotine to drugs, alcohol, whatever. If I am willingly making the choice every day could go through 2 or 3 pots of coffee. Is that technically an addiction? Yes. Am I making that choice? Yes. Could I choose not to have that pot of coffee? I sure could. It's no different.
My
If you want
thing,
to
when you
use
had to go
alcohol
to
or drugs with it,
somebody
it's no
that
difference.
literally knew what they were doing when they shoot gasoline into their veins, that person not only is just retarded, that person just needs some help. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Yep.
not of, oh, it's because addiction is a disease. It's like, no, you're an idiot because you wanted to fix, and instead of going and getting help, you shot gasoline in your arm.
Yep.
So
And
here's my caveat, and this is probably gonna tick a lot of people off, but I believe addiction is a mindset, just the
Yeah,
same as anything else.
yeah, I
If
agree with
I'm
that.
addicted to nicotine, to caffeine, or whatever, it's a mindset. I could lay it down. It's going to be hard. I'm going to be hateful. I'm going to go through quote unquote withdrawals, and it's going to be ridiculously hard. But if it comes down to the point to where I have
It's
to
how
choose
bad you want
between
it.
nicotine and my children,
Right.
I'm going to choose my children, no
And
matter how hard it is.
I see. I think that's one thing that's really just like I hate people sometimes, man. Like I just cannot deal with them, and I think it's the stupidity part that I just it drives me crazy. And
some
I think
people's
it's
kids,
so
man.
much of dealing with like you go to these people and their child is right there, you know what I mean? And they're over here doing the meth aerobics, and here you're on scene and you have to like fight back the urge to literally just jack slap the crap out of this person for being so stupid.
Which
Oh
brings
yeah.
me into a news article I just read recently from one of my 911 dispatch groups where an 8-year-old, 8 years old, called 911 and said, I think my daddy overdosed again.
Yeah, yeah, you get that a lot around here.
Mhm. And it's ridiculous. Honestly, the system's broken from the ground up at all levels. Like,
Yeah,
in
the whole
reality, law
system's jacked
enforcement
up
should be
anyway.
stepping in there and child care services should be stepping in there. But instead, he'll go to the hospital,
And be home
they'll
in
get
a
him
couple
straightened
hours.
up at most a day, and he'll be right back home with that 8-year-old
To do it
and
again.
pretend like it never happened.
And
Fett
the
says
system's
this
so broke up
podcast
that
is truly anything and everything.
We told you that we didn't really prepare probably the way that most people think we should.
well, and the thing about the system too is, don't get me wrong, in any profession you get people that it's just a job and they
Right.
don't really care and they're just there for a paycheck. But you do truly have some really good social workers that work for the system, but their hands are tied because the judicial system is so broken that they take the kid away. Dad goes to the hospital and they release him and say, "Oh, he's on Suboxone now, so he's clean." And then they give the kid back, and then a week later, he's used all of his Suboxone, so he shoots up something else, and they're right back in the same situation.
Yep.
I think it should be the same situation with CPS as you were talking about with the Narcan. 3 strikes, you're out. You don't get them back after the third time.
Right.
Yeah, I
You
mean
made your choice.
that's the way it technically works for felons. I mean, you commit
And
3 federal crimes, you don't get out of prison.
I mean, I have a dark view on it. My thing is, I get a call for somebody overdosing, and I go to them. And if this is like a legit abuser, because it's obvious when you get on scenes. If this is like an accident that happened, like I accidentally took too much medicine, or you know, this is I don't know, say a 16-year-old kid who was hanging out with some friends and tried something new for the first time, overdose. Those things are different. Now, if this is somebody that you know is a active user because they just don't want to stop, and you know this because they've overdosed so many times, top deal. My thing is, if I get on scene and I know it's this active user and they're overdosing, but they overdosed yesterday. They also overdosed 2 days before that. They also overdosed, 3 days
Last
before
week.
that. My thing is, let nature run its daggone course.
I mean, I've said
Is
it
it
Natural
before.
jobs?
selection.
Is it
Yeah,
job
EMS
security? Yes,
is
it is job security, in kinda. The problem is the system's so jacked up. They're probably living off the government, which means EMS isn't going to get paid for that run anyway
No, at most they're getting $20 for the run.
because the system's so jacked up anyway. So my thing is, but I get so torn because a lot of people in EMS, they'll get on scene and it's, well, if I can get a refusal, blah blah, then I can leave. I get that, but to me, if I have to go all the way on a scene, especially if I've had maybe 30 minutes of sleep, going in a 48-hour shift, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, if I go out to a scene, I better just be transporting and going ahead and getting it over with, because then you get stuck in the mindset of, I'm going to get a refusal, I'm going to go back to lay back down, I'm going to lay down for 10 minutes, and then I have to come right back out here to the same exact idiot. So I'm kind of torn. Like, I view it as like, let nature run its course, but at the same time, don't call me.
So, me and one other paramedic where I work, I won't use this name just in case, don't want to get him in trouble. We have this mindset that if you're under 18 and you overdose, we're going to work as hard as we can because you're still a child. You have your whole life ahead of you. If you are over 18 and this is the 5th time we've come to you, we're hoping there's no signs of life when we get there because you're wasting time and resources that could be used on other people who deserve it more.
Right. And at the same time, a lot of the aggravation crap that comes with EMS that's killing, turnover ratios and everything is the families that live off their relative that they don't want anything to do with.
Oh, yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with them, but I don't want to deal with them, so come pick them up and take them to the ER.
Yeah.
You get that, especially around this time. Like, I guarantee you, probably the day before Thanksgiving, call volume will shoot up through the roof because
we'll
come get mommy.
Wednesday.
I don't want to deal with her.
She's not doing good, but you get there and there's not really anything wrong with her. You're going to take her to the hospital, and the hospital will go ahead and admit them because they know it's the holidays, and they'll hold them for about 2 days so they can bill the insurance for it and send them home.
Yep. Onward.
This feels like a good time to plug this in. If you want to scream at us for our views, it's BTQ at slimchancegaming.com. That's Beyond the Quest. BTQ, as in Beyond the Quest, at
Let me get a refill
slimchancegaming.com.
real quick.
I do have an idea for this podcast for anybody that does listen. If there are any topics that you guys would like to hear, discussed or take part in and anything, if you want to hit that up at btq.com, is that what you said?
BTQ at slimchancegaming.com.
Yeah, if you want to hit that up and drop topics down and everything, at once during each episode, I would like to be able to draw like a random topic out that we discuss. If we can get enough suggestions in, I think that would be really cool. Kind of like spinning the wheel.
Spinning the wheel of justice.
What?
I said spinning the wheel of justice.
Nerd.
Hurtful.
It's okay. I love you. All right. Next topic that I had is actually about kind of another gaming question.
For the gaming podcast.
So everybody has like their own like preferred style of gaming that they like more. And then there's some types of games like you don't find fun at all.
This is true.
Do you think there is a way that you can transition into being able to like any of those other games?
I have tried many times, like real-time strategy games, for example. The concept of them, I feel like, should be fun to me, especially the story-driven ones. Execution has never been very fun for me, though. I get bored with them, feel like they're monotonous and everything, but I try over and over, especially when it comes to the ones like Schizo gets really into. That, what's that one he really loves? Banner Lords?
Yeah, I think it's the name of it.
I've tried multiple times with that game, and I cannot do it. So I don't know if there is a trick to actually enjoy them.
Um, I'm gonna say it kind of depends. So, like me personally, I know my play style. I know games I like and games I don't like. But I feel like if it's something close enough that kind of teeters that line, um, I might be able to get into it, but it would be hard. It would be a lot of, I feel like, forcing myself to play it until I got used to it more, if that makes any sense. But for the most part, I'm gonna say I agree with Taco. It's gonna be a very, very hard thing to do and may not be possible, but I think it depends on the specific game.
I think it's possible that you can get to where you can enjoy the game at short periods. Like, I think it would require, for example, I couldn't do it solo. I would have to be able to co op it with one or more people. And it would have to be something in like where you actually can connect and role play it type deal. Like League is hard to do that with. I get what you were saying earlier. Like it's hard for you to be able to like, I am this character, I am Malphite. But if it's a game to where you can actually kind of pull yourself into it a little more with a group of people to have fun, I think you can get to where you can enjoy the game, but in short spurts. Because to me, my problem is when I play a game that I don't like the style wise, it doesn't take long before I'm very bored. And then that's whenever I lose all aspect of gaming in itself. Like I'm not having fun. I would almost rather just instead of playing. If this was the only game that I had to play, instead of playing it, I would almost rather just close it and watch YouTube or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
like a good example of what you're saying there would be like way back in the day we played was it Civilization?
Something like
The
that.
real time strategy one.
Yeah.
When we got on and played together, I could enjoy it in small bursts, like a match or two. All right, I'm having fun. But when I tried to do the story mode to actually understand what was going on with the game, I couldn't do it. I got so bored I gave up on it and never tried it again. So I can relate there. If it's in a group setting, I can tolerate it enough to where I can kind of enjoy it.
But it's not like something, oh, I'm going to play this all the time.
Yeah, I'm not going to seek it out myself.
so, um, I got a question for you, Medic. You
Uh-oh.
said that a lot of games that you play, you try and get into the mindset that you are the character. For
Yep.
you, does that make it easier or harder to stream?
Um, to stream?
Yeah, to stream or record videos with.
I think it makes it easier because I think when you're playing in the mindset of I've got to be good and I want to win type deal, you put too much on your shoulders. Like you're putting way too much pressure on. Like especially if you're recording something. For example, like say you're going to record a game of League to post to YouTube. You want it to be a win, and you also want it to be a good performance on your side. Of like you're carrying the game or you've done like phenomenal in the support position. Um, so I think when you put too much on your shoulders and too much pressure, especially if you don't do well under pressure, and to be honest, like in League's community, there is no,
It's
hey,
one of the
good
most
game, you're
toxic
doing
gaming
awesome.
communities out there.
You're
Let's be real.
constant. I mean, the best way to go about that anyway, as soon as you get in and champ select, is you just mute everybody. Because there will be at least one person in there that's going to absolutely try and trash talk you. Is it possible? Yeah, a lot of people do it all the time. A lot of streamers and YouTubers do it. But to be fair, a lot of them are good players and they just, they'll get different accounts and play lower elos to be able to do it easier. To me, when you dive into it and you're role playing in it, if I'm going into a game to have fun, I have no problem with posting a video to YouTube that I recorded of going in, having fun doing something that I enjoy doing that helps me bring peace to myself, acting like a total dingbat.
I mean,
Like
look at the streams we've been
I've
doing with
had
Cal for
some
that.
games on League of just I am double Obama and get going 28-9 on ARAM. I mean that's something I enjoy, just having fun, trying to be able to relate more to the game. And if you watch the show Arcane and you actually get hooked on it, I've caught myself more, especially if I'm playing one of the characters that are tied
From the
into the
show.
show right now, because I know how they've played their personalities off to be. So, like, if I'm going in as that character, I kind of have more of that vibe in my head now. Vet said
I
that was a
mean,
really good question, by the way.
So
look at the streams we've done with Cal on Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. We got destroyed like 4 runs in a row trying to beat through the story mode, and we had no idea that was the easy mode at the time.
We got
But we
shell
were having a
shocked.
blast. Like,
so
we were having a blast the whole time anyway.
I'm going to well, little teaser alert for anybody that's listening or that's a Slim Chance fan. I really thought about trying to do like a YouTube series or something, or even just live streaming me playing that police simulator because, like I said, that's a game that I really enjoy right now. But the problem I have whenever I play that game is I almost become so focused on it that I couldn't even imagine making a video with it because I'm that focused.
Well, see,
I'm
that's
that
one thing.
immersed, if that makes sense.
Like, so I had a lot of people reach out to me when I first ever started touching Twitch, that I knew that had been on Twitch before and stuff. And a lot of them were saying, the biggest thing is you don't think of it like as a job aspect, because then you'll get burnt out easy. So, like, there were some people that tell me, like, when I was playing games by myself, like not even live or anything, it sounds crazy, but talk to yourself. Like, you're getting the habit of explaining what you're doing while you're playing. That kind of helped me a little bit more in doing my videos, because I get in a habit of talking a lot now. Sometimes I feel like I do. And then at the same time, if you're playing something that you enjoy, like if that game really, like, you dig playing that game, you just stream it and play it, dude. That's the main goal, is for you to be able to have fun with it. Will viewers come eventually? There may only be one person that like it. Hey, that one person matters too.
Yeah, I mean, I've done both now, making videos strictly for YouTube and streaming, and I feel like streaming them I'm enjoying more just because I'm more aware that I'm actually recording what I'm doing, and I make a better effort of talking out loud while I'm doing it, like explaining, okay, well, this is what it wants me to do, so we're going to go do this. I get to the point where I'm talking to the characters, even though I know the characters can't respond to me, just because it's interactive that way. Whereas
Right.
when I was just recording them, I would explain, step by step exactly what I was doing in the game, but it didn't feel as immersive to me. So it was kind of pulling me out of the gameplay aspect at the same time.
Like, if you want to see somebody that truly is entertaining, but still enjoys what they're doing, at least they play it off. Like, I mean, you really feel like they're enjoying what they're doing on YouTube. If you ever watch League of Taka, that is some of the best entertainment,
Yeah.
especially if you're a League of Legends fan, that I can find.
If
With that
people
being
want to find
said,
that,
what is my next question or topic that I wanted to ask would be, uh, what made you all want to actually try and get into the videos on YouTube or the streaming with games?
oh, that's easy for me. Last year, when all the kids were wanting us to get into Ark with them, and I sat here at the house one day and was like, all right, I need to know exactly what this game is, how you play it, and everything, because It's been around forever. The original was, and I'd played some on it, but didn't really understand the purpose of the game. So I looked it up on YouTube and found Neeps Gaming. Got hooked just on their personalities, like
Yeah, I
they're
love Neeps.
entertaining. And I binge watched all their material, and learning the story of the late Thick 44 was an inspiration to me. I mean, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. They
Forever
offered to let
live the
him
Living King.
they offered to let him step away, and he told them no, that he wanted to be an inspiration to the fans, that you don't let anything stop you from chasing the stuff you're passionate about. So up until he died, he continued to play and record with them and everything. And something about that just kind of struck me, and I was like, hey, we enjoy games already, and there's enough of us that consistently get on and play together, and we have a blast. What's stopping us? Why aren't we
Right.
doing this ourselves? So I brought it to you all, and I'm like, hey, we need to do this. And we finally did.
So my answer is going to be a tad dark, but without revealing too much information, because I don't feel like this is the time for that. But really, I think what really put in my head that it would be a good idea is whenever everything happened last December, and I was getting the treatment I needed. I kind of that's where gaming became therapy for me because I would watch these streamers on YouTube and the streamers on Twitch and see how they could almost disconnect from reality, kind of like how you were talking about before, Medic.
Right.
And that helped me more than anything see, okay, that could be the mental relief that I need. That could be my escape from reality I need. Um, and I feel like part of doing the videos is, to me anyway, showing other people that may not feel like they belong anywhere, if that makes
Right.
sense. That may not have a way, like, okay, one of the people in our group, who's a brother to us, Callistus, he's 4.5 hours away. So we can it ain't like we can just go knock on his door and be like, hey man, let's go hang
Right.
out. So even though that we are that far away, we can still kind of escape reality and have fun just like we're in each other's living room virtually.
Right.
Um and I guess to me making the videos and stuff is kind of just like how Taco was talking about with Neebs. That's actually one of the people I watched the most. During that time, and to me it's showing other people, hey, this is a possibility, this is an outlet. You don't need to do all these other things to escape from reality. You can just hop on a video game.
Right. Don't get me wrong. Like I love Neebs. Whenever Taco first told me about them and I looked them up, holy moly! Like those dudes, they just come across like them and Slim Chance would really get along. You know
Yeah,
what I
to
mean?
me,
And
to
like when
me,
I
they feel
watched
like they're
them,
just genuine.
when I first watched them and stuff, I was like, that's my goal is to be able to accomplish something like they have. Um,
Yeah,
but like I think the first YouTuber that I ever watched that really made me think of I'd like to try that would be ankle spanking. If you all have not looked up ankle spanking, he used to be a strictly only league mainly content creator. He's kind of I think he's going a little bit away from the league now, but his personality in general is what got me kind of hooked on him. Like he doesn't really care what he says. He's there to have fun and just bring in like a positive vibe with everything. He's not all about the trash talking and people bringing you down, which is really hard to find in the league community anyway. But I've also caught some of his streams where being able to do something like this online and kind of like how you were talking about napkins, you can reach so much more people instead of just confined into the city you live in type deal. Um, the viewers that he's gathered, and like the followers and the community that he's created, he's got a lot of people that it's like new friends that you're getting to be able to reach. And I've caught a couple of his streams where, like, he's really went through some stuff in his personal life, like that he had lost his dad, and he was dealing with a lot from his family from it, and he was going through a hard time, and he got on stream one day, and he was, I'm sorry, I've been away, I had this going on, but this is happening, and his viewers were talking back to him that were helping him. That was his therapy, their advice, being able to just to vent, to have that outlet as well. And I was like, being able to actually do this, to be able to reach so much people and create a community of, at the same time of thinking, a community of Slim Chance Gaming, as twisted and as awkward as that sounds and scary as it could be, to me, that's the community I want to be able to try and help grow, is people that can match our humor and be able to fit in. Like, to me, that just sounds as dope as it gets.
Well, and to build off of that a little bit, in all honesty, videos, I mean, yeah, I really wanted to do the videos, don't get me wrong, but what I've always wanted to do since I first discovered them is this podcasting. I don't know why, but I've always wanted to do my own podcast. So this is kind of like a dream come true for me, and hopefully it doesn't just completely fail.
And I'd never even, like, I've heard of, I've listened to some comedian podcasts every now and then, but I never really thought much into podcasting up until you had mentioned it to me. For those that are wondering, Beyond the Quest podcast actually started just because I'd mentioned to Napkins of, I'm thinking about in the mornings while I'm editing YouTube videos of just going live on Twitch with a just chatting screen, and anybody that wants to stop by and talk about anything, everything, I don't even care if they just want to talk. Just for me to be there, to be an ear if somebody needs it or just wants to hang out. And he said, why don't we just do a podcast like that? And I said, what's a podcast?
Be right back, guys. I gotta use the bathroom.
Everyone needs
Well,
to know that.
That's live. that's on the recording now.
But yeah, that's my thing.
I do need to figure out how to plug
like
an
the
editor's
idea
comment in.
I do like the idea of a podcast.
I do need to figure out how to plug an editor's comment into the podcast recording, because I just realized at the beginning of the recording I said BTO instead of BTQ.
It is BTQ at Slim Chance Gaming?
Yeah, slimchancegaming.com.
Yeah. That be what it be.
Little off topic, but I don't feel like we've done too bad to not be prepared. We're at 1 hour and 3 minutes.
Well, I mean, for a podcast that is based off anything and everything, no limits, I feel like we're doing a pretty good job. In my opinion.
I agree.
So, I do have a next question. I don't know if I should wait on Taco to get back or not.
Should we take a quick break? I can pause the podcast recording.
I don't have a be right back screen for this.
I thought you made one.
Nope.
Oh. Okay. Keep it rolling then.
I'm keeping it rolling. I'll just repeat the question when he gets back so I can go ahead and get your answer.
To the listeners, though, I do want to throw this out there. This is raw footage. It's not going to be edited. The only thing that will be edited is throwing in a couple ad plugs here and there. So whenever you hear me say stuff like I can pause the recording, just ignore that. Like I said, we're we're just figuring this out. We're just starting down this space.
No, you didn't. So anyway, next question that I had. So we've kind of bounced literally from gaming and faith and just random crap that we've had to deal with and stuff. Do you ever, while you're gaming, or if there's any certain games, or if you can in any game, do you ever try and relate your faith to it?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Daggone right it is.
I'm gonna say, and this is probably kind of crappy of me, but I'm gonna say not really. Not that I can think of, anyway. I think maybe more morals than faith, so to speak. Like, you know, like for example, I know it's just a video game, but like, you know, um, like the police simulator, for example. Like if I wanted to, I could pull out a pistol and just shoot every bad guy. But that's not
But
the
you
number.
don't.
Number one, that's not the moral thing to do, and number two, to me, that kind of takes away from the realism that we talked about earlier,
Right.
as far as like trying to put yourself as that physical
Okay,
character.
so you said not really, and which you also said it's probably kind of bad of you. So my follow up question to it was, do you ever feel guilty? And yes or no, why?
Mm. I'm gonna say, how you really making my brain think this morning.
Listen, you the
I'm
one that
gonna say
started this deep walk. I'm just diving in.
I'm gonna say no, and the reason why, and that may change my answer as far as kind of bad of me, but I think the reason why I wouldn't feel guilty is because the aspect of having that mentality of it's just a video game,
Right.
kind of like we talked about earlier, being able to not have a mental illness where we can separate reality from a video game. I think that's why. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to get on a video game and start cussing people out,
Right.
um, or telling them.
So if the whole thing is it's the aspect of it is a video game. For example, say you get on like an MMO like Neverwinter or Guild Wars,
Mhm.
and you have these different races and characters that you can build, and they have their backstories of their beliefs and their god and this and that. If somebody was to get on a game like that and they create their character and whatnot, and they're viewing it as in they're trying to relate their faith to that game of I'm building this holy warrior for God and stuff, and they're relating their faith to it. Does that take away from the game from you for you?
So I'm gonna say it could, but not necessarily. So part of me I feel like would be like, that's honestly pretty cool,
Mm-hmm.
um, to have a character like that. But another part of me thinks back to whenever we were playing Conan. Spoiler alert, that series might be coming soon. But
Be on the
whenever we were
lookout.
whenever we were playing Conan, and the fact that Schizo chose the carnivore, and he truly lived that character in the video game as a carnivore. He would only, or cannibal, I'm sorry,
Cannibal.
cannibal, not carnivore, a cannibal, and he would only eat human flesh in the video game. He
Right.
wouldn't eat anything else. And I feel like that kind of gave it not only, don't get me wrong, there was a couple times, and no offense, Schizo, if you listen to this, there was a couple times it got a little annoying. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I feel like in a sense it kind of gave it like a comedic relief in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, a lot of games I feel like are not faith based.
Right.
Like you have your different gods and things in video games, but I don't feel like that there's a mainstream game out there such as like Conan or Neverwinter where you could really build a Christian based character.
Right. My viewing on it is and maybe we're kind of near the same page of all that. Like, as far as doing that in a game, and relating your faith to a game, do I think you can relate your faith to a game? I think in a lot of games like MMOs, you can, because most games, it's kind of like, you're trying to do what you can for your god type deal, and to complete the quest to get near the end. So a lot of people can relate a faith to them. As far as building like a straight up faith based character in those games, to me, and it might sound awful, to me it does take away from the game itself. Whenever you're doing, because you're trying to create something into a game that's not there to be created. So in one way or another, you're going to have to twist things in that game to be able to create it. And I think it can take away from the game aspect of itself, as looking at it as, hey, this is a game. But if it's a game as in like a tabletop game of like D&D and creating a character based that way, I think it can work a lot better because you have more freedom to be able to create things.
Well, yeah, and you could always start with a paladin or a cleric from the ground up in D&D, and then you could make your character as zealous as you want, who refuses to acknowledge other gods or whatever. But in a video game setting, I feel like it would be more of, I don't know, to me, if you tried to do it in a video game, it would be the equivalent of like a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon going around door to door knocking. Can I speak to you about the Book of Mormon today?
Well, I mean, you can create a paladin or a cleric in a video game, but everything's preset of your choices, of your background and your gods and stuff, and trying to bring in something that's not there for a selection. I think you're going to take away the game if you blocked and took things out of the game to try and role play it the way you wanted in an MMO, I think it is possible. But I do think when you're doing that, you take away from the game itself as it's supposed to be.
Well, kind of building off of that, if you're going to try, I guess I'm just saying this to support what you said as far as taking away from the game. If you're going to try and play a Christian-based character, are you going to refuse to do certain storylines, like where you have to go out and kill somebody because that would be against the Christian faith?
Right.
Are you going to go out and, whenever there's dialogue, are you going to refuse to answer the way that the game wants you to answer because it would be untruthful? Like, I think in all those aspects is the way that it could take away from the game, now that you mention it.
Well, not only that, I mean, you're not going to be able to pick what you're wanting to pick in your just starting from the beginning of a game in the creation aspect of it. You're not going to be able to pick exactly what you want anyway. As far as, can you type out your own background? Yes. But when it comes to selecting your deity or where you're based off in most games, because you have to pick one when in your creation mode. Anything you pick would be a lie.
Yeah, and even like, say you were playing Neverwinter and you wanted to play a paladin or a cleric, and you picked the closest thing to actually describing God as the Bible describes him, and you're trying to roleplay that as, well, that's God and I'm a Christian and this and that. If you're really trying to get into that role with other players and everything, you're going to put a lot of them off anyway. Right. Because you'd be going around like, you should be serving this one because that's the true God, and they're just going to get aggravated with you and you're going to isolate yourself anyway.
No, yeah, but and to me, and I know this sounds awful, but we had just had these talks about how gaming is an escape and like a therapy. So when you're doing that, of course, it's going to have other people bring it in that. And to me, anytime God's brought into something, it's usually an argument, and it shouldn't be. So,
but it's like politics.
Is it worth it to bring that in to ruin a game?
Not to mention, you're going to have that stigmatism, like you talked about earlier. If you have other online players that can read your backstory and stuff, and they read that stuff, they're gonna automatically be like, "Oh gosh, it's one of them."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. To
And
me,
kind of building.
it's no. I
I'm
mean,
sorry, go ahead.
I wouldn't care a bit about if somebody else was doing it, but at the same time, as an aspect of gaming, I feel like you're taking away of something that I have a lot of appreciation for. You know what I mean? Like, as in the content itself as of a video game.
Right. Slightly off topic, but you talked about character creation and D&D and stuff. And in all honesty, that's one of the things that I feel like I'm going to struggle with and not like about D&D, just because everybody else, like in the games that we have played as far as Conan and stuff, everybody else gets really meticulous as far as breaking down their character. Me, I'm not gonna lie. I change a couple things, then I go through and hit randomize until I find one I like, and I'm like, good enough. And so I feel like coming up with the lore and the backstory and all that, I'm gonna really struggle with.
Well,
Oh,
see,
no,
I struggle
that's
with
not a big deal.
I struggle with backstories and lores and things as far as creation wise. That's when you have that opportunity of I'm going to dive into this game and roleplay this character. I want them
And
to
you
look
know-
like how I would want to look like in the game. Or when you hit random and it spits you out this random image of a character, that's when you can be like, I'm getting ready to roleplay this character. How do I want them to be?
You know, kind of building off of your question you asked earlier, as far as being able to like a game that you just don't agree or that you don't
have
enjoy
fun
at
with.
first.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that it's possible, maybe not necessarily as far as growing to like a game, but maybe my taste just changed, because I do remember whenever I was younger and first trying the games like Neverwinter and stuff like that, I didn't really enjoy them.
Right.
But nowadays, like Conan was heck of fun, dude. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
crap out of Conan.
I liked
But-
Conan a lot more than I thought I was going to. I don't
Um,
think that game gets enough appreciation, to be honest with you.
I agree. But now, like, even going back to Neverwinter, I'm not sure if maybe it's just that one specific game, because I honestly I haven't tried it since way back when. Um, maybe my taste in games in general has transitioned now that I'm older and more mature and can kind of understand the games a little better, or maybe it's just that one specific game.
Right. So I know we were talking about trying to keep this podcast down to like an hour and a half or so. So we are kind of closing in on that time, but I do want to bring up one more question that I think would be good for viewers to know and stuff. And it's, so if you had to look at all aspect of gaming, from first-person shooters to MMOs to side scrollers to role-playing games, tabletop games, all of it, what is the first game that literally got you hooked on games of, or if you want to break it down of like, you know, this, if I had to look at MMOs, this is my top MMO. If I had to look at MOBAs, this is my top MOBA type deal.
So for me, D&D is what got me hooked in gaming to begin with. You know, I played it all through middle school and part of high school and everything with the friends I had, and the idea that you were in control of not just your character but how the story played out is what got me.
Did
Like-
it ever get like hard in like high school of trying to, you got hooked on it, so you obviously enjoyed it.
Right.
Of, there was always like a stereotypical thing going around of, you know, those were the nerdy kids, let's pick on them type deal.
Oh, no. No, I didn't care what anybody thought of me. I still don't. I'm just one of those. I've told many people I'm not wired like a normal person, so that never fazed me in the slightest bit. I kind of hung out with people from all different groups. Everything from a couple of the preppy people, which we still go to church with a couple of, all the way down to the weird emo kids that nobody speaks to and all that. Like I hung out with people from every group, so that was never an issue. But that was the thing that always appealed to me was if you really like invest in it and you're putting your effort into it, it felt like you were living out a novel.
Right. Which you've
And
always been big into reading.
true, and I transitioned that into games as well. Like if it's got a good story, I will invest heavily in the campaign mode, even on a shooter, trying to get that story. If it's an MMO, sometimes the story is kind of bland and I don't care. Like what time we tried playing WoW, the story was just kind of there for me.
Right.
It didn't really appeal to me, and then the whole aspect of you have to keep paying was like, no, like I already bought the game, I shouldn't have to keep playing or paying. So when I found Star Wars The Old Republic, which is a free MMO, it kind of blended all aspects that really appealed to me. It took the storytelling that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was known for and blended it with an MMO. So I could dive in and play solo and still get the story, or I could actually invest and try and find a guild and join up with people and try and help them out and be part of a community. So
So is it
things like
safe to
that's
say
what
like
really gets
MMO
me.
is like your favorite genre?
Just more or less RPGs in general, but MMOs are definitely at the top.
Napacanos?
So for me, I would say the don't make fun of me, guys. But I would say the very first games. There's two in particular that I can think of that really made me like I enjoy this. I enjoy gaming. The first one would probably be Grand Theft Auto, just because I mean it's mayhem and
So
madness
much
that you
free
can
will.
cause. Exactly,
Yeah.
especially as a kid playing it. Um, Number two would probably be a simulation or strategy game. Like my top, the number one game that I remember that really got me into simulation and strategy. There's two that come to mind. One is Roller Coaster Tycoon, which is where I told you don't laugh at me. Which is where you like manage your own theme park, you can build your own roller coasters, all that stuff. And the second one, it was actually an online only game, and I used to play it in school all the time. Um, and it was like whenever I say online, I'm talking the old school Flash player games. And it was
Right.
called Company Inc. And it's where you build this big tower starting from the ground up, and it's the same thing. It's like a business simulation game. Um, so I think that that's what really got me into gaming. If I was to pick a favorite style of game, it would probably be that strategy slash simulation. But that's my solo preference. So if I'm getting on to play just a game by myself, I'm probably going to go with a simulation or strategy game.
Right.
If I'm playing with other people, I would have to say my top pick would probably be something like League. For the longest time, whenever people would ask if I play games, I would just say, yeah, I play League.
Right.
Um, and kind of building on to that second part, I would say even today, to date, if somebody asked me my favorite style of game, I'm hesitant to say that my favorite style of game is simulation slash strategy because I just feel like that the simulation games in general um, kind of have like a negative persona around them to where it's kind of like, ah, man, you
Well, I
drive
mean,
fake
simulation
trucks
games
and
are up to like Goat Simulator now. So,
Yeah,
um,
like there's actually a huge market for them. It's just
so if I
still
had to
for a
look
lot of the
at it,
public, they're viewed as
um,
boring.
like for example, I have a coworker, and he was like asking what games I liked and stuff. Not once did I mention simulation or strategy until I was like, "What games are you interested in?" And he was like, "Oh man, I play ATS, American Trucking Simulator. I play Farming Simulator. That's kind of my niche. That's what I like." And then I was kind of like, "Oh, well, now that you mention it."
you were like, "Oh, there's another one."
I'm
Um,
not alone.
if I had to look at it, I would say, like when I was younger playing games, it was sports games, and then it was like Halo, Call of Duty type deal. And to me, it was
Just
just
tear
playing
some
games.
NBA up.
it was just playing games. But like when I first got introduced to League, that was my first PC game playing ever. And there's something about League that can just get you hooked, especially if you take the time to actually play it consistently to try and get better at it. That'll get you
You
hooked.
start reading the character lore and everything
And then
else.
it wasn't actually until I read all of the Harry Potter series that like those books just I mean they blew my mind, and it actually made me start looking at games in a different aspect of what if this was real type deal, like of being able to live in this world. That's like when Riot talked about being able to make an MMO, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I'm dying for them to.
Because it's to me,
finally
it's
put
looking
that
at
out.
just looking at like if you went and watched the Arcane show, it makes League perceived different to me now. So, as far as my favorite type of games, League in general, just getting on and playing like a MOBA is probably one of my best go-to things to do. But I can't really narrow it down now that I've looked at games in a different aspect, because I'd never played any games really like everybody's always asked about games like Far Cry and Ghost Recon and all this stuff. I've never played those types of games. So now I've tried Ready or Not. To me, that's a whole different type of gameplay than it is of Call of Duty. It's a whole different type of gameplay than playing League. So to me, it's completely different type of gameplay of playing Halo. So to me, I mean, it's in its own thing over there with different games. If I had to pick games in that genre, I would go with Ready or Not just because I played the most of it. If I had to go to a first-person shooter game in general, Halo and Call of Duty. So a lot of it's kind of just different aspects. If I had to go look at MMOs right now, I would probably go with probably Neverwinter just because I played the most on it. Simulation games. I've played some simulation games, but the new card shop game, probably one of my favorite simulation games ever. It is addictive. It is time consuming. You get to interact with it. I mean, it is captivating and it pulls you in. But
Yeah, on that note, I actually would really love for all of us to try some more of those together. Especially like I found a free one on Steam where you run a supermarket together with a group of friends, and kind of thought it would be great to let Napkins play the role of manager and the rest of us be his employees.
well, with that being said, to anybody that does listen to the podcast, make sure you check us out at Slim Chance Gaming Crew on YouTube, Slim Chance Gaming on Facebook. We each have our own Twitches: McMedic SCG Napkins, EMTaco 15, Schizo EMT, Callistus SCG. We all have our own separate Twitches because we all do have our own different types of games that we like to play and stream and stuff. So make sure you check that out. We thank everybody for tuning in and watching. We did go a few minutes over on our first episode, but I didn't think it went too shabby. There was no shenanigan.
I do want to just throw in a special shout out to our sponsor for making all this happen.
There will be some more info coming from them soon.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we can say on it right now.
Huge thank you to them.
Also, new episodes, we plan on putting one out every Monday.
Every Monday for sure.
If you want to tune in live, you can check out McMedic SCG on Twitch.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can listen to wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. They will be releasing on the podcasting platforms no later than 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Reach out to us. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
That email again is btq@slimchancegaming.com.
Not BTO.
No.
And
BTQ.
if you are listening to us on the major podcast platforms, give us a follow, a like, a comment, whatever. Any little bit will help it grow.
Make sure you guys get some suggestions in for topics. Literally anything and everything. We are all about it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
so until
if
next
this
time,
episode, you know that by now.
we love y'all. Cheese, toast, more. Bye.
Bye.
From the first light to the game's last stand, we're chasing truth with controller in hand. Faith, adventure, stories untold. First responder, hearts brave and bold. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet. From the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slim Chomp's crew, come join the ride. With McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet. From the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slim Chomp's crew, come join the ride. With McMedic, napkins, and taco as your guide. Beyond the quest, where the stories grow. Faith, fire, and games in the world we know. Adventure calls, the table is set. Let's take the leap, our best quest yet. From the first light to the game's last stand, we're chasing truth with controller in hand. Faith, adventure, stories untold. First responder, hearts brave and bold. Beyond the quest, where the journeys meet. From the fires of life to the gaming heat. Slim Chomp's crew, come join the ride. With McMedic, napkins,